focus on the games that we
Yeah,
talk
exactly. I mean,
about.
if
Because we
we
need
talk about,
Australia. Firstly, we need Australia to stay. It's an
yeah,
important series for us. That's
yeah,
the the
look,
revenue that this tour brings in is massive for
it
us.
is,
And
yeah. I mean, we
um,
don't want to discourage anyone who wants to come to Sri Lanka, but I
no,
mean, we just have to talk about the reality as well. I mean,
yeah,
if nothing's getting done and we have a platform where we can talk about these things, and we should always talk about the truth. So they are bringing all the 18 players into the squad. So they are going to play the test matches.
yeah, you're right. I think the country's top first class players are all in Sri Lanka. I don't think there are many second string players in Australia at the moment. Everyone's in Sri
Oh,
Lanka getting exposed.
welcome to another episode of Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast, sponsored by Stack Sports Australia. And I'm here with my co-host Sohan. Happy Sohan, how are you doing, bro?
Doing good with that. Excited to be covering the series against Australia. We'll touch base more in detail, but excited to be here. How have you been?
Yeah, good. Just family's been sick, so I've been looking after them. Maybe the winter getting into them. I think we will start with the one day series, Bora. Now it's currently at 1-1. It was a hard fought win by Sri Lanka in the second one day, which was a rain interrupted game.
Yeah.
And our bowlers did remarkably well to bring us a win. We'll talk about the T20 series later on.
Yeah.
I mean, 1-1, and we are heading to Colombo for the rest of the series, and lots of rain predicted over the next couple of weeks as well. So it's going to be interesting series, isn't it, Bora?
Yeah, interesting series turning into the busy end with a decision to be made in the one days and then the test match kicking off. Coming into the reviews of the Candy leg in the one days, we'll touch base more about the pitch and how we've seen it changed. But I think good momentum for us. The T20, we managed to unbelievable result. Those kind of games don't happen a lot, and for a change to be on the winning end of a performance like that is unbelievable. So a lot of the players would have had a massive adrenaline rush through that result, which kind of transitioned through to the one days. I mean, that was a good score. We put up 300 runs on the board. Just we couldn't be, our finishing with the ball wasn't the best. So and a massive innings by Maxwell. He seems to be loving the Sri Lankans.
Candy,
He had
especially Candy.
in Candy as well. So he has a liking for Sri Lanka. He's been every time. I mean, sometimes Australia doesn't play their full strength against Sri Lanka, but Maxwell finds himself always in the playing 11 with us. We've finished a T20 series in Australia. He played a big part in that, and he finds ways to get the result home for them. So we couldn't overcome his challenge, but going into the second game, we managed to turn it around. So series now tied, all to play for in Colombo. But interesting, I think you and I, we've covered the Sri Lankan economy or crisis that is happening out there. So it's getting a bit messy, a bit sad, what's happening out there. So all we can hope is a good change. We want to create more awareness that where possible for people to contribute and assist. But I'm not sure that might come into the play into this series at some stage. It is that I'm sure the authorities might be keeping an eye out. We want the series to go ahead, But you never know whether that will play a part at some stage.
I mean, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now, and I can't see anything. I can't see anything happening, any positive thing happening towards a recovery. So you're right. People are, I mean, they were patient in the early stages, and you can see a few incidents happening in various parts of the country. And I mean, if things get out of control, you're right, but we hope it won't get to that. You can see the crowds in Kandy. I mean, one thing that brings Sri Lanka together is cricket. It has always been like that. We need the series to go on, but we can't forget how much suffering there is in the country. So if Australia decide to go back, I won't be surprised. So but let's
focus on the games.
Exactly. I mean,
because we need Australia. Firstly, we need Australia to stay. It's an important series for us. That's the revenue that this tour brings in is massive for us.
It is, I mean, we don't want to discourage anyone who wants to come to Sri Lanka, but I mean, we just have to talk about the reality as well. I mean, if nothing's getting done, and we have a platform where we can talk about these things, and we should always talk about the truth. So if we get back to the one-day series, Bora, I mean, we always talk about the importance of winning the first game of the series. I mean, we put out a good show in the first one-day international. We scored runs and we couldn't win the game. You're right, Maxwell took the game away from us. Maybe bowling second in Kandy under lights, especially for the spinners, might be hard to grip the ball with the moisture in the outfield. I'm not sure, because I haven't played in Pallekere for a long time. I don't know what's the situation now. But we came back and won the second game. Importantly, this win was caused by the fast bowlers of Sri Lankan team. Charmika took 3 important wickets, and took a run out as well. After bowling the ball, he ran towards the mid wicket and got carry out, run out. And Chamira came back for a spell. He bowled a really good spell with the new ball, then came back and took 2 wickets to finish it off. So this is the second time in a month or so where Sri Lanka fast bowlers won an important game in Asia.
It's good. I think you're right. The fast bowlers have turned it around very quickly. So they're showing some good skill sets. I think coming back into the series, with the pitches in Pallekele has been very different. Especially, I mean, I've been watching the games, and firstly, we're not winning the toss, which is not helping us as well. I don't think Dasun has won a toss yet in this series. But batting first, I mean, the first few games or the first 2 matches in the one day as I was watching, you could see, the pitch was playing up. There seems to be breaking up, and it's almost like the pitch is crumbling. The look and feel of it looked like a 3rd, 4th day pitch where it looks like it will take up a lot of spin as the day goes by. But once the lights kick in and there's the lights come in and we're playing without the sun and into the night, it looks like there's a bit of moisture underneath that brings the pitch together and seals it up. So it's almost like it becomes a totally different. It doesn't spin square, and our spinners struggle with it. That's what I noticed, because a 300 score, when you see the pitch and the way it appeared, it was like, Australia won't get close to it, but it just played well after that. So when you think about that, I mean, that will be different coming into Kettarama. That's going to change. The dynamic will change. Second, game, you're right. The fast bowlers did an amazing job. So pretty much the bowlers brought it home for us because there was the last wicket partnership was around 26 or 29 runs between Mahesh Deekshan and Dushmanta
Yeah,
Chamira.
yeah.
And then if you look, like everyone's got starts, everyone scored over 10 runs, I think, and then we scrapped the score and managed to defend it. I still feel I'm still trying to study and understand the 11 that we go into the match. The second
Yeah.
game was a bit confusing. I was like, I mean, what's the the blueprint of a when you select 11, you go either six batters, four bowlers, and an all rounder, or you go three fast bowlers, two spinners, six batters with a wicket keeper. And when I looked at the 11 we name, I couldn't see that structure. It was
No.
almost like I think
Almost
it was
like a
three.
T20 team, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
three
yeah,
three bowlers and eight batters. I think I saw it, and everyone's a bits and pieces. Like,
yeah.
um, I mean, if you start from the top, you'll have Charita Salanka who bowls and bats, the Dhananjay De Silva bowls and bats. Then they played Vanidu. No, Vanidu didn't play that. Sorry, it
Oh,
was
you didn't play
the
the second game. That's
the left arm spinner
yeah.
who bowls and bats, Dasun Shanaka, Chamika, and then when you see it's a
And Van der Sar.
massive middle order of all rounders, not
Yeah.
specialist batters.
Mm.
So I don't get it. I'm lucky we got the result, but if you at the start when you look at that team, um, we were pushing a big task ahead of us, but to come back on the other side with a win was massive for us.
Mm.
So
I mean, start of the series, even in the T20 series, Charmika's place in the side was questioned, and
yeah,
he came out and he contributed with the bat
yeah,
well, and bowled well to take 3 wickets to win a game for us. Yeah, you're right. Like when you talk about the team, when you look at the 11, it almost like a T20 team. That's the first thing came into my mind, because you expecting someone like Charmika, Dasun, and them to bowl few overs between
yeah,
themselves. But yeah, I mean, we can play another batsman in that team, isn't it, Bora? We can
yeah,
play someone. Then Dasun can come to number 7,
yeah,
and Charmika to bat at 8. Theoretically, Charmika and Dasun both can't play in this team, but um,
yeah,
I think till the World Cup we have to stick with both of them, especially in the T20s,
yeah,
because I mean, I said this many times. Dasun is doing a job where no one wanted. So,
yeah. You're right.
I mean,
Yeah,
here we are talking about winning games and
yeah,
the balance of the team and all that. But a year ago, we didn't have 11 players to field in England. This
yeah,
time last year, we were thinking, where can we find players to field 11 good players to field the team? So these are good problems to have. I mean, as long as we are winning, I think it's good. But you're right. I think maybe the composition of the team might change in Colombo. We
yeah,
might see, I don't know, we might see another batsman coming in, and one of the spinners might not play at Premadas. I'm not sure. So, what do you
yeah.
think?
I reckon Jeffrey Van der Sar might sit out. Just going by Dunit's performance.
Yeah,
Mike
yeah,
Deekshana seems to be holding his own. You have Dhananjay De Silva, so
yeah,
perhaps there'll be that batsman who replace Jeffrey. So then Charmika can drop to 8
yeah,
and whatnot. Dunit looks good, so he'll slowly
wow,
push up the notch. It's just that I think they did a right call by keeping him behind Charmika, just a youngster, first exposure, so he
mm,
can settle in rather than going up a notch. So that makes sense with that move they did.
yeah,
But you're right. Just quickly to touch base on Dasun. I guess people want result and are driven with a sport, but this is a guy who's managed to, from the disastrous England to get players, firstly disciplined enough to get their focus right and work towards something that Sri Lanka wants to achieve. He's managed to rope everyone in and have that control. So I guess, yes, number one, if your runs are your currency and you're not getting it, people do question it. But as a leader, he's done a lot more out of the group to bring and get them together. So sometimes you got to understand that's what you want from a leader. So I I I don't know, like yes, Chamika was under a bit of pressure, Dasun, but these guys are key players, I mean, in our team, because we are struggling with set of players. You might as well give them a bit of a chance to settle in, because if you put them out, we don't have anyone. It's just going to open up another unsettled level. So like we talked about the T20, we said 8 to 9 will be auto picks, and that's the feel. I think the dressing room's more settled now. They don't have that uneasiness where who am I playing or not playing. It's 3 players or 2 players within a change. That's understandable, but the core group seems to be settled into their 11 and batting in spots where they feel comfortable with. So,
no, you're right. Best example I can give you is Ian Morgan, right? His place in the team is questionable sometimes, but he's done so much to build that white ball team of England. So he's leading that unit really well. So I think, I mean, if you want to make a change, I think you should wait till the World Cup. After that, you can. Like there are players in the team now who are captaincy material, so you can look at them after the World Cup. But till the World Cup, I think they shouldn't do any changes. I mean, you can change where they bat and all that, but other than that, no, Dasun should be there. I mean, you can see what he can do when he is when you push him back to the wall, right? I mean, he can come up with those kind of performance, and imagine him doing that more regularly with some ease of the pressure of the captaincy, right? So I think just we can change around, but you don't want to do too many changes. And talking about the team composition, Bora, I don't think we'll have the services of Wanindu Hasaranga for the rest of the series by the looks of it. He had a growing strain and he's working hard to get fit to play, but I don't think he'll feature in the Sunday's game, which is not good news for us. Wanindu's record at Ketarama is really good with the bat and ball.
You're right. I think for some, Wanindu has a soft groin, if that makes sense, but that seems to be an injury that is common to him. So I think there are a few. I remember in one game as well, he pulled up very ginger after diving over a ball, and it looked like a groin. I think it was in Australia. I'm not sure. He seemed to be. That seems to be like, if Wanindu is injured, or is it the groin? Is a question that. It comes in for me, I get that feeling.
Oh no.
The groin, he's done his groin again, kind of. So, so you can't play him. Unfortunately, you got to look after him. He's got more value coming into the rest of the tournaments that are ahead. But he's turned his game around really fast. Like I still think we need to use him up the order with his batting. But very rare we get a quality player like this. So we got to make use of him because he seems to be the best player against spin in the middle order. He seems to be in the ones so at ease, and he might be the solution for us to get those ones sticking over, get the strike rotating. I think he might be the answer. And sometimes when you bat a guy like him in a middle order position, they tend to think more like a batter than being in a number 8 position. The game's totally different, and good players are able to adjust and play that. And I think he has that potential. It's just that we haven't been exposing him a lot more there. But I mean, either way, wherever he plays, he's a match winner, isn't he? He's just electric on the field. His bowling's coming along. He's at a stage where his bowling's like every ball he bowls has a potential to take a wicket. So he's good. I think Mahesh Theekshana seems to haven't been able to get to the speed of the one-day format, 50-over format, compared to T20 format. It could be that the batters have a bit more time to play around him because there's 50 overs to play against 20 overs and can wait on him a bit and pick the ball. Or he's not reading the game, because even Ashton Agar, you would have noticed, he's struggling in the one days because there's only 4 fielders out in the field, whereas in the T20, when Agar bowls, he's got 5 fielders out in the field. So that's why in the T20s we struggle to hit him for boundaries. But
there's always a boundary option, isn't it?
And in the one days we seem to be picking and hitting him at ease for the boundaries. So I think Mahesh, and if you take even Ashton Agar, they seem to be struggling to settle into the one-day format in this series, at least. That's how I saw. I mean, Agar got a few wickets. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel his strength is at the T20 format, where he knew the Sri Lankans couldn't get away with him. It'll be interesting in Khettarama what approach they're going to go with. Maxwell will be a big factor, and don't know whether they'll start with the pace instead of Mahesh Theekshana with the new ball.
Maybe give the new ball back to Charmika and see how he goes.
Possibility of that. For the Australians, I think Steve Smith is a doubt as well. He's picked up a small injury, or that's something I saw in the news today. They have a few injury concerns, but they managed to. They've got the replacements they need. They've got Australia touring party here. They're spoiled for choices pretty much. Even if you think they've got the Test series next, they've got most of the Test batters playing there. Cameron Green's kept in ice. They're not exposing him too much, but if need be, he can play a part. And they've got some exciting spinners that are young in the mix. So Travis said pretty much slots into a good spot. They've got Maxwell will be there. Kuhlman's gonna be there. So they still field a good team. Pat Cummins is coming off the break. He didn't play the T20s. He's in the one days. He's got his speeds up. So they look all right. For Sri Lanka, we seem to be getting good momentum. Finding, Kusal Mendes is doing well with the bat. He seems to be tagging along. It's just we need that. If one of our batters can get 100, it just sets that top order well. Like Pathum Nissanka is going along at good rate. Danushka's been all right in the one days.
He's been his record in the last 10, 15 one day has been fantastic. So, I questioned his place in the T20 team, but his place as the opener of the one day team is, no one can replace him. That's his spot. So, he's our opener. He's number one opener in the one days for us. Maybe not for the T20s.
Yeah, you're right. So when you look at that, I think it's good vibes for us. If we can finish off a win, it'll be an unbelievable atmosphere at the Khettarama for sure.
Now Colombo crowd has to top the Kandy crowd, because Kandy crowd has been fantastic. All games. How many games they played there? 3 games. All 3 games. was packed. The banks, the grass banks were packed, and it was really good atmosphere. And how good to see the crowds back for cricket, for cricket matches. I mean, it makes totally different. I mean, some of these boys haven't played in front of a Sri Lankan crowd, and I can see they love it. I mean, Dushmantha Chamera he doesn't express himself after taking the wicket as much as Chamika, and he was pumped to get those 2 wickets to win the game for us. So well done to Candy and Colombo. You have lots of work to do to top that.
Yeah, unbelievable. I was watching, I don't know if it's a sound effects or whatnot, the crowd, you could hear it, but I think it was more the crowd noise, because Cricket Australia runs a few snips of the videos, and when they're spanning into the crowd, there was a lot of energy. You could feel that energy, and it's almost like, as players, when the energy is on your side, it feels so good. And I always felt playing out in Pallekele, this is first class cricket and not a lot of crowd, but it's got a good feel. Like the grounds grounds more below and the stands are around it, and then so it's the best ground to watch a match.
Good waving.
Always feel in Sri Lanka that Pallekele grounds always a good ground to watch a match, because you feel like even the players at the top, they have to walk down, get to the ground, and then go. So as spectators, you have a good viewing area. So imagine that with the sound just pumping down into the playing field. That's just unbelievable, and you could feel it, the energy, and that's where the players, like I said, Dushmantha was this example. He hardly shows a lot of emotion, but in this game he was good.
He went all out.
He went all out. You could see how bad
even Chris Silverwood, he was up, he doesn't show many emotions, and
exactly. Really, even when you relate the T20 game, when we won, I think Malinga was in the crowd as well. Like he also erupted, yes, we got this. Those kind of games, that's why, I mean, yes, there may be a lot of failures for Dasun, but he's in a role where he is one of the guys who are capable of delivering on results like that. And you got to back him, because his games are going to come good at certain stages, and not a lot of players are able to pull off wins like that. So unbelievable. I think it's one of the first times we've able to score such a amount of runs in that many balls, and
54 in the last 5 overs.
Something like that. I think it's even 50 or
54 in the last 3 overs. Sorry,
3 overs. So unbelievable hitting. It's just even I think what setup I'd like to Vidash, you want to talk about the T20 now, or
I mean we
might as well. I'd like to talk through the last over which Dasun faced with Kane Richardson. I think it was Kane Richardson who bowled it. And something he did really well was to hold his base, where he didn't, try those cheeky lapses or anything like that. He batted
which is
on
not his strength.
And
down the ground.
Down the ground. So he batted on off stump, and he managed to make the pitch small. As a bowler, it's a very bad feeling. I hate, as I've been in a spots like that where the pitch feels like really small. You don't have room to bowl, and
you don't want to bowl straight either.
Exactly. And you could see he's gotten into that tunnel vision. Kane Richardson, he couldn't get out of he couldn't change it up. And Dasun, I think, hit one which was a wide on off stump behind 0.44. That was, I think, what set him up for the rest of the over. And then we could see Kane Richardson, I felt he looked like he didn't have an option, and he just tried to bowl on the stumps, and then Dasun just muscled it.
He was under the pump.
And that's, I think, that's the beauty of that game, where when Dasun's waits on his strength, he's able to come across it. He, like the one he hit pass long off, I think it was David Vaughan or Steve Smith at the line. That
Yeah.
was a muscle pounder. It was pure power.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the one he for six was just good sound of the bat, and it just goes up. Dasun, as a youngster coming through the ranks, I mean, first class to mercantile cricket, which was pretty strong at the time, was known to be hitting a long ball. He played for SSC, then Sampat Bank was where he was playing. I think he's still with Sampat Bank. We've left the country, so I'm not sure if he's still there, but in those games he could hit a long ball. He was known for it, so I'm not surprised seeing him hit that much. The sixers he's getting off his bat. That's just him developing his skill further.
IPL scouts, if you are watching, you should make note. I mean, he's going to be very, very expensive next season of the IPL. I'm sure he's going to be grabbed by a franchise.
Yeah, bit of Moneyball effect on the Sri Lankan players
Yeah.
for next year, next franchise. But yeah, I mean, just to sum up the T20 series, yes, well, I mean, we couldn't win it, but was a good result for us, the last one. For us, few positives, but few things still we want to work on, especially with the World Cup in Australia. Pitch conditions are going to be totally different to what we played on. So we got to be ready to adjust for that.
Yeah. Let's come back to the one-day series, Bora.
Yep.
We did predict Sri Lanka. Oh, you predict a 1-1 series for T20s, didn't you?
Yeah, I predicted one to go on with the rain.
Yeah.
1-1.
Yeah,
So
I called 2-1 and for Sri Lanka, and we lost it.
we flipped it.
I think we should do a prediction for the one-day series now.
Yeah.
And yeah, before that, we talked about bringing in extra batsmen. Who should we bring in if we are bringing in extra batsmen? Are we thinking of Bhanuka Rajapaksa or someone else?
Yeah, that's good call. I guess with the options we have, looks like they seem to be backing Dasun up the order a bit more. They seem to be giving him a bit more of a freedom up there. If you look at the guys who are outside, who to bring in, I think that's a good avenue to see, okay, who do we have outside? So you'll have Chandimal, who's there. You have Dikwella, who's there. So don't know, both of them. Dikwella would be a top order bat. We don't have a top order position for him. Chandimal looks the option, but we both of us know he should be more into the longer format, not into this format. So and Ramesh Mendis, so I mean Lahiru Madusanka, those are the all-rounders. So they'll fall under below Charmikas. Then Dunit either drops into a number 9 or a number 8. So with that in mind, they might have gone, look, might as well give opportunity for Dasun to see if he can seal the number 6 as a spot. So they would have gone with that. If at all the pitch, there seems to be some bit of difference there. Lahiru Madhusanka might make it into that where Jeffrey batted, because Lahiru will be able to bat under Dunit and then play around. So that might be an option. We're going with fast bowlers seem to be doing a bit more work than the spinners with the momentum. So that's an outside chance, I feel. Or they might decide to go with Chandima, but I don't know. I'd steer away from that.
Yeah. My bet is Bhanuka Pura.
Yep.
And I'm thinking Dasun might drop down to number 7
Yep.
Bhanuka come in at 6.
Mm.
Because we know Dasun, his game is T20s, right?
Yeah.
And less overs he has to bat is good for him. I mean, I'm
Yep.
talking about, like, we don't want him to bat 30 over, 20, 30
No.
overs.
No.
We want him to bat maximum 15 to 20 overs.
Yeah.
He has time to get in and finish strong. So he can
Yeah.
do that at number 7, and Bhanuka can play his normal game at number 6. He's a left
Yeah.
hand as well. So because Aussie's got left arm spinner and a leg spinner playing, so I think that's a good option. That's my thinking.
Yeah, you're right. I think just that's a good way to go about it. And I'm just trying to justify the thinking they would have done to leave Bhanuka out in the first instance would have been that T20 concept where rather than put in I mean, maybe that's that responsibility factor that Dasun would have said, look, I'd bat higher, I'll take the responsibility of
Yeah,
batting longer, and let's get another spin bowler in
yeah,
or a bowler in. But yeah, if we get Bhanuka in, it means Dasun, Charmik, everyone drops a notch.
yeah.
And Dunit bats at number 9.
Number 9.
So then what do you do? Kind of I think that's the toss up that the management's trying
Yeah,
to decide, but again, Bhanuka comes in. The good thing with Bhanuka is good, and the negative is the Bhanuka, if he can kick away from the 0, for he goes from 0 to 20 really fast,
yeah,
or he 0 and in the dressing room. So
yeah,
uh, so those are what the guys are, I think, trying to manage. They've seen a little glimpse of what Dunit can do, seems
yeah.
pretty promising. Do you then put him down a notch to number 9? Or do you go again with a same team or similar setup with Bhanuka sitting out? But I mean, Bhanuka is good to have in the team. Don't get me wrong. It's just like we know how explosive he can be. So
Yeah.
if he can change that momentum for us, that's massive. But I just have a feeling that might have been the factor they kept him out in the last game.
Yeah. I mean, if it comes to Bhanuka and Chandi, I'll go with Bhanuka. Pura.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, let's do a prediction. 1-1 now, 3 more games to go. Lots of rain around.
Sri Lanka needs this win massively. But I just feel we are behind the 8 ball at the moment. I know I don't want to be a dampener into this, but we are struggling to get it over the line. So I don't know. I know rain's a factor, but
yeah,
I think we talked about how good. I told you how good our grounds keepers are. We are getting results. So the games are not going to be washed away if the overnight rains stopped. So the results show not a lot of countries would have had games played with the amount of rain we had. But they just cover the whole ground
and take it off in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, layer by layer, it just goes out. I wish I'll go 2-2 and another rain. No, yeah, that's my prediction.
No, I'm gonna go 3-2 Sri Lanka. We might have lots of rain interruptions, but our ground staff will do their job to at least to play a T20 game, like a 20-over game. So and you're playing under lights as well, so you can extend it till I can't remember what time. So I'm backing our boys to win 3-2. Now that they won the second game of the series, I'm backing them to win the series. Yeah.
Now, again, wish our guys well. I'm excited to be watching the matches. We need this badly. And a few good players turn it around. Some good skills on display. Good to watch how they are playing, analyzing, and moving along. Just to round up today's discussions with England playing a different, not a
Yeah.
different, more refreshing brand of cricket out there. um, I mean, they started the white ball era when they had a disastrous 2015 World
15
Cup.
World Cup. Yeah.
They've kicked off their, test campaign pretty strongly with an unbelievable win. I mean, they chased up 260, and the last session was they chased up
Yeah.
at 10 runs. I know it was a
Johnny
crazy hit.
Bairstow and walks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's almost like, do you some after a few years time, people look at this test match and say this is where test cricket change to be more of a modern game, where again the game's taken on a lot more, because that's some serious hitting, and
Yeah.
it is against a New Zealand attack, who is a strong test nation as well. So um, over the next few series and the games that England play test cricket, we'll see that transition happening, or whether it might be a bit scary factor for the other countries to be aware of, because they'll have to find a solution. How do we, contain this way of hitting? Because it's not going to be easy when you got to drop all the fielders to the lines and they're still finding boundaries. It's
Yeah.
going to be another interesting passage of cricket.
Yeah. Let's talk more about England versus New Zealand in the next episode, Para. So
Yeah.
before we wrap up, a shout out to Stag Sports Australia, our sponsor, and we have lots of interactions on our social media with our listeners, especially on Twitter. Give us a follow on Twitter. We'll add all the links to our social media in the show notes, and send us an email with your questions or comments to srilankancricketpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, we'll talk more about cricket in another episode next week.
Yeah, thanks a lot for listening, everyone. Keep listening to the episodes as we release, and if you subscribe, you get the early notification when we release it. So thanks a lot.
All right. See you next week.
See you next week. Cheers.
Bye.